reached out and asked if you had read the indictment. You said you read it word for word, page for page, right?
I did. I keep up. I love Jackson.
Even though they've not been in court and they've not been found guilty, it's just an indictment at this point.
They don't see it. My first statement was, think of your family. Think about your family. Put your family first.
I never thought in a million years we would have been put in the situation that we were in. Never. Because we went through our whole career doing the right thing.
It's utterly ridiculous to me. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I'm Othor Cain. Glad to have you aboard on this Thursday. We are live. Glad to have you here. Tonight we're going to do what we call open mic or hot topics. So we'll cover a multitude of topics tonight, but we are glad to have you here. Listen, let me say this to you. There is absolutely no way that we could possibly do this show without you. I appreciate folks stopping me, in the stores and restaurants and across the city, talking about watching and being appreciative. I'm literally today, I walked into the gym at the Baptist Health Complex in Clinton, and a little lady was sitting there. And she said to me, I really like your voice. And she said, you do such a great job. You've been doing this for a number of years. And it's those words and those conversations that really help me continue to do this. So I'm extremely grateful. I was very appreciative of her. She didn't have to say anything. She didn't have to say anything, but she literally stopped me as I was walking in there this afternoon. So I'm grateful for that. We could not possibly do this without you. We are appreciative of every single word of encouragement, every single thank you, every single dime, every single person that has given to us. We are absolutely 100% grateful for your support, right? We're grateful. We can't do it. We want to continue to do it. And so we continue to ask you for your support, in doing this. So feel free to share with us. If the Spirit moves you to share with us tonight, feel free to do that. The Cash App information is scrolling across your screen now, $ Othor Cain. We appreciate that. You see a QR code there as well. But we're grateful. Absolutely cannot do it without you. Wouldn't even want to do it without you. So you help us. You give us an opportunity to spend some time on stories, right? To really develop stories and really do some research. So thank you. Thank you for your support. Don't stop. We're building this thing, and we expect to be statewide by the second quarter. That's a real goal. That's a real goal for us. We expect to be a statewide show by the second quarter of this year, and once we reach that, our next mark is to become regional. And so if you have folk in other parts of the state and there are some things going on in those areas and we need to cover, please drop us a note, drop us a subject matter, drop us a contact person so that we can cover those stories, right? Because our goal, again, by the second quarter of this year, it's to be statewide. We endeavor to get statewide funding from the legislature, just like they give Mississippi Public Radio, just like they give Super Talk. There is not an African American show that covers statewide issues. Why not us? Why not be the first to delve into that space? But we can only do that with your support. That's the only way we can do it, is with your support. So thank you for supporting. We certainly do appreciate that. Tonight we're going to cover a multitude of topics, and we want to bring you into the conversation. And so the producer is going to share a link that you can click on and be a part of the conversation tonight as well. We've got several things, and there's a link right there. If you want to come on camera and be a part of the conversation with us, that's the link, and we'll share that again as we move throughout the show. But several things that I want to talk about. One in particular, well, there's so many things I want to talk about. But I guess I want to start tonight with a failed resolution by the City Council to get Chokwe and Lumumba to take a leave of absence. It failed. I think there were 3, 2, 1, and then one was gone. So I think Kenneth Stokes introduced the resolution to get Mayor Lumumba to take a leave of absence. He says that for the greater good of the city, in an effort to continue doing business as a city and with the city, for the good of all of that, he felt that Mayor Lumumba should step aside, take a leave of absence, right? Just take a break, take a leave of absence. And while I understand Councilman Stokes' rationale, right? I understand the request. I understand the reasoning behind it. But I got to tell you that I don't agree with it, right? I don't agree with it, and I'll tell you why. As we move through this conversation, don't agree with it, but I understand it, totally understand it, and on the surface, it sounds good, right? On the surface, it sounds good. On the surface, it sounds good, but when you dig a little deeper, there are reasons why it does not make any sense to me. So I think that the measure, those who voted for it, I think it was 3. I think Kenneth Stokes, Ashby Foote, and Vernon Hartley, I think they all voted in favor of the measure. I believe Brian Grissel and Tina Clay voted against it. I believe Virgie Lindsay abstained. And I think by the time the vote happened, Councilman Banks had already left the meeting. So I think that it was a 3-2-1, right? One second, find out. So yeah, so I think it was a 3-2-1-1. And Virgie Lindsay says her reason to abstain was she felt that it should not have been on the agenda. She felt that it should not have been on the agenda. So let me tell you why I disagree with it. I totally understand the rationale, in a perfect world, would support that. But here's why I disagree with it. Because honestly, that office, his job, if you recall, when we had Attorney Michael Sterling out of Atlanta on with us, he kind of walked us through this particular scenario. We specifically talked about Jody Owens, but I think that the same thing holds true for Mayor Lumumba as well. And so one of the things that he helped us, one of the things that he helped us to understand was that office, that's their bargaining tool, right? That's their chip. That's their power of negotiation. So if I walk away from this office, if I resign, if I take a leave of absence, I'm essentially relinquishing my power. I'm giving up my ability to negotiate, right? And that's that's the largest chip that he has. Why walk away? Why walk away? And so pleading not guilty to these charges gives them an opportunity to really work on things in the discovery, to really work on finding out exactly what they have against them, finding out how strong it is, how credible it is, and how much bargaining they really have. And their office, their seat, is their largest bargaining chip. So I wouldn't walk away either. I would not walk away from that either. I think Councilman Stokes had good intentions with it. Honestly, I do. I think he had good intentions with it. I don't think it came from a place of malice or from a place with ill intent. I don't think that was the case at all. I absolutely think Councilman Stokes had good intentions. He wants the city to be able to do business, and without distractions, right? Without distractions, he wants to see the city move forward, and this dark cloud not linger, not hover, and not hover over the city's head. But it's there. It is absolutely there. It is absolutely there. Love to hear your thoughts about um, the mayor not taking a leave of absence. And again, that measure failed. That measure failed. So I think we have um, Pat Smith or P. Smith. I don't know if it's Pat or not, but P. Smith um, that has joined us and want to be a part of the conversation. I'm showing device not connected on my side. I don't know if P. Smith is there or not, but join the conversation. What are your thoughts? Um, we'll pop that link up again if you want to be a part of this conversation. You want to jump on camera with us. We would love to hear you, love to see you. What you have to say about this. Is P. Smith there? All right, maybe Pete Smith is still attempting to connect with us. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that he should have taken a leave of absence? What are your thoughts? Would love to hear that from you tonight. What are your thoughts? And again, for me, um, 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 that seat, that office, his largest bargaining chip, the strongest bargaining chip. And if you step away at this point, that could be perceived as an admission of guilt. It could very well be perceived as an admission of guilt. Very well could be perceived as an admission of guilt. So I kind of thought it was going to fail, right? I kind of thought it was going to fail. Lisa Pittman. Click the link and come on in, ma'am. How are you? Click the link and come on in, ma'am. Click the link and let's pull you in. Hmm. I think you got to connect to. She's having issues. Yeah, so you got to connect to your camera and to your mic. I hope you get it up and going because we would love to bring you into the live stream tonight. All right, we would love to bring you into the live stream tonight. So that's one conversation. I think while we're having that conversation, I think we could also have a conversation about the deadline is looming. Alicia says she don't want to be on camera. I got you. 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 Well, if you don't want to be on camera, then absolutely. We could do. I think we can do just audio as well. I think if you get your settings right, I think we can do just audio as well. But at any rate, so as we're thinking about him not taking a leave of absence, I think it's also important. This would be a good time to begin what seems like it's going to be a very long campaign conversation. I think now is the time to begin our conversations about the folk who have thrown their hat into the ring to run for mayor, right? I think now is a great time to talk about those potential folk that are running for mayor. So, of all the folk that you've heard about that's running for mayor, hey Sheila, how are you? Of all the folk that are running for mayor that you've heard about, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about the folk that have already announced? I mean, drive around, you see signs up, and of course, the qualifying deadline is January the 31st. So if anybody is considering, they have until January the 31st to offer themselves as a candidate for mayor or city council. So qualifying deadline is January 31st for municipal elections. And so of all the folk that you've heard who have officially announced, who are thinking about announcing, what are your thoughts? I'd like to hear. Um, I'd like to hear that because I certainly have some thoughts. I certainly um, have some thoughts, but I'll yield to you guys first. Y'all are mighty quiet tonight. I will yield to you guys first in terms of your thoughts about this mayoral race. Right, we got to get it right in 2025, y'all. We've got to get it right. As a city, we're hurting, we're suffering, in a lot of areas. So we've got to get it right. We've got to get it right. We've got to get it right. Lots of names are out there. And I think I was watching the news yesterday or the day before yesterday, and I think I saw where a female has entered the race. I think I saw where a female has entered the race. So I think as it stands now officially, there are probably about 7 or 8 at least. There are about 7 or 8 of them that have declared that they are running. But I would love to get your thoughts on that. I would absolutely love to get your thoughts on that. I'll say it again, though. We've got to get it right. We've got to get it right. And I would also say, right now, I'm not blown away by any one candidate. Not blown away. Mm-mm. Not blown away by any one particular candidate. I'm very cautious as to how I approach the conversation. Very cautious as to how I approach the conversation because honestly, this time around, we've got to get it right. I don't know that this time around we can afford to go, on popularity. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Lisa, it looks like you may have worked out your issues there. We lost that. We lost one of them. Looks like she may have worked out her issues there. Lisa, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah, you working out. Hey Juanita, hey Juanita, you can still weigh in. I know you don't live in Jackson, but you have a heart for Jackson and you work in Jackson, so you can still weigh in. So feel free to weigh in, ma'am. Lisa, good to have you here, ma'am.
Good to be here. Good to be here. You know, I'm not trying to be on camera, but I will talk all day long.
What's on your mind, ma'am?
I'm just trying to get up to date because I stopped watching the news after the election, so I miss a lot. So I'm trying to get up to date. That's why I keep watching your feeds, your lives, so I know what's going on in my city.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. Well, tonight we're doing open mic, and we just raised a couple of topics. One, we raised the topic of we highlight the fact that the resolution for Mayor Lumumba to take a leave of absence failed on a 3-2-1 vote.
Oh, okay.
And we had kind of talked about why that was the case. So you had three people to say that he should take a leave of absence, and they were Vernon Hartley, Ashby Foote, and Kenneth Stokes. Two people said no: Tina Clay, Brian Griselle, and Virgie Lindsay abstained. Excuse me. And by the time the vote came around, Councilman Banks had already left the meeting.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the measure failed. I understand the measure failing, and actually, and honestly, I actually support the measure failing. And my reasons for supporting it, I believe that when Councilman Stokes introduced this measure, I think he came from a pure place. I think he came from a place with good intentions.
Yeah.
He wants to do business. He don't want to have, this dark cloud hanging over the city in terms of doing business. He wants the employees to feel safe, secure, and all that. And I get all of that. But when you're in a situation like this, stepping away from that seat could come across as an admission of guilt, number one.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
true.
the other piece to it is, when Michael Sterling was on with us, he made it very clear that office, that seat, that's their strongest and largest bargaining chip. So why give that up?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right?
And
Not
he also brought up a lot of good points and just really some different perspectives that I had not even thought about.
right,
And really, at this point, we can speculate. They can have a lot of evidence, but they're giving us piecemeal what they want us to see.
correct.
And so I just feel like everybody needs an opportunity to have their day in court. And if you're guilty, go on. But I don't know how him stepping away would really help the city because who's going to step in and do those things that he has to do? Some things that the mayor has to sign off on, and I don't know how the council would be able to do that if the state would have to step in. It just seems like a lot.
Yeah. So in times past, when there's been like a death of the mayor or the mayor has
Yeah.
been hospitalized, the council votes amongst themselves who
Okay.
will act as interim mayor.
Interim mayor.
Mhm. And in years past, it has always been primarily the council president, but there's
President.
no law that says it has to be the
Okay.
president, right? And so the council votes amongst themselves who would be, who would fill that role. But again, I'm with you. I think we're all innocent until proven guilty. It's not that we are guilty until proven innocent, right? Sometimes I think we get that wrong. We are innocent until proven guilty. And in my mind, again, stepping away would be almost like an admission of guilt.
Yeah. And then, we have forgotten that because, we need to remind ourselves that, in the political world, there's always a lot of things going on behind the scenes that, we're not necessarily privy to. And that's why it's always good to get it to the courtroom.
Right.
And that doesn't mean you don't want people to be held accountable. If
Correct.
you're guilty, then you need to be held accountable without a doubt. And of course, even in, just someone being accused of some of the things that he's accused of, it looks bad for the city, but he's an individual. He's not the first to have done some things, or maybe allegedly, participated in some kind of salacious activity. That's been politics since the inception. And so,
And that doesn't make it right, but it
no,
also at this point doesn't make him guilty because we don't know yet, right? We
and,
don't
and
know.
that's why I say alleged.
That's right.
Everybody
That's
has
right.
to have their time in court. And if
That's
you're
right.
guilty, then,
That's right.
you need to bear the consequences of their guilt, you know. But we're just in a climate, I think, too, we go from one extreme to the next. We have a president who's convicted of 34 counts, and people are dismissing, all of his convictions as if these are just some little minor infractions. He's the president of the United States now. It seems to be morality, integrity, ethics. Those things have not been, to me, they don't seem to be, you know, a tipping point for people when it comes to politicians. And I think that is, we need to change the whole culture. We need to do better as citizens, and have more expectations and standards for people that we vote in. We need to be voting competent people in that can handle the job.
Absolutely.
And I think we've been voting on personality. It's obvious, our presidential election, and it's a rotten personality that got it. But that's just the environment we live in now. Everybody loves cat fights and a whole lot of ratchet ghetto behavior as opposed to substance. So
You're absolutely right. In a minute, Lisa, I'm going to show this photo that's making its round on social media with the mayor, and you honestly just made me think about it because I had totally forgotten about wanting to show it, but you just made what you said just made me think about it because when you look at um, the transfer of power that's going to happen on Monday, right? When you look at who is getting ready to assume the office of the presidency, it makes what's happening here seems like small fries, right? Seems like
right.
small fries. And again, you made me remember this because I was in a text conversation with some friends today, and they're in uproar over this photo. Don't like the photo,
Okay.
and don't like it or whatever. And I raised the question: uh, do we hold every elected person to the same standard? Or is it because these are local elected officials and we feel like we can touch them and we feel like we're close to them that we hold them to such a higher standard? But it'll make sense when I show the photo in just a
Okay.
little bit, right? Um, uh, but God help us these next 4 years. That's all I can say. God help us.
Without a doubt. Oh my God.
I know. I
He's definitely going to have to help us.
Oh my God, that's the only way we're gonna make it. That's the only way we're going to make it. That's the only way we're gonna make it. Lisa, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, take care. All right, so we got I want you guys to look at this photo. This is the photo that I'm talking about, and this photo is making its round on social media. look at that. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. I do want to go and grab some of those comments, though, that were coming in as Lisa was on with us. So I'm going to come back to this photo. I know I saw a comment maybe from Marcus Wallace, who's a candidate. We'd love to hear from him. Marcus says, good evening, Othor, and the listening audience. As a candidate, I think we have a good group of candidates, and I have a lot of love and respect for anyone who steps up to run for any office because it takes tough skin. But my biggest desire is for citizens to hear and see us on the same stage at the same time. Jackson can't afford to elect based on popularity and money. Jackson needs a workhorse, not another show horse. I would love everyone's vote, but right now, my biggest ask from the city, and mine ends there. I don't know if we could pull the rest of it, right? But right now, my biggest ask from the city is something. It stops there. But Marcus, that's a good point. I don't think I don't think Jackson can afford to vote in this mayoral race based on popularity. I just don't. Patama says 6 qualified as of the 15th. Lakeisha Cry, Delaney Funches, James Hopkins, John Horn, Marcus Wallace, Albert Wilson. Thank you for those names, ma'am. I appreciate that. I think I also saw a comment from Tommy Townsend as well. For Lumumba saying that he will not take a leave, they definitely made sure Grizzly got on the call. Not sure that I understand that. Not sure that I understand that one, brother. So if you want to unpack that one for me, that would be good. All right. So you could continue to weigh in on that. But let's go back to this photo now. I want you to look at this photo. So allegedly, this photo was captured of Lumumba recently, within the week. Earlier this week or last week, but within the week, this photo was captured of him. And supposedly, the photo was taken at a nightclub, right? And there's been lots of conversation about, how do you represent as an elected official? And I got to tell you that I'm a little torn, right? My answer is probably not the typical answer, and maybe most of you will disagree with me. Maybe most of you will disagree with me, but I believe that as a mayor, as an elected official, yes, I absolutely believe that you should be on at all times, right? It's just par for the course. It's just the nature of the beast. I think that you should be on all the time. That's my personal belief. But I also understand that societal norms have changed. I don't think that's a great representation for the mayor at all. I don't think that's a great look for a mayor of any city at all at any time. That's just me. I also recognize clearly that societal norms have changed. I also recognize clearly that look on Mayor Lumumba, I think it speaks to his base. And I don't think that his base has a problem with it. I think it's us old fogies. I think we are the ones with the problem. I don't think his base has a problem with that look at all. I don't think that is mayoral in any sense of the word, by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't think his base, his core audience, the folk who support him at his core, I don't think they have a problem with it. And so one of my friends said that you have to make sacrifices when you run for office and you get elected, and you have to sacrifice your private life and all that, and for the most part, that is absolutely correct. You have to give up a lot, right? You have to give up a lot, or you have to be creative in terms of how you handle those things that you enjoy, right? How you enjoy them, who you enjoy them with, where you enjoy them. I think that you have to be creative in that space. I don't think that you can do normal things all the time, not out loud, not in public. I think that you have to understand who you're with, who you're around, and all of that. And you have to be aware that cameras are snapping 24/7. So I wrestle with the fact that I think that they should have a private life. I wrestle with the fact that I think that elected officials should be able to live their lives. That's just me. I wrestle with that because I think that they should be able to live their lives. But I also wonder if we hold local elected officials to a higher standard because we know them, because we can touch them, because we can call them, right? I wonder if we hold them to a higher standard. So I'm torn. That was a bad look. So Lisa says, not a good representation, even though norms have changed. If you are in public and a public official, it's better to look professional. We meet people where they are on bended knee, but then we lift. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. Then we lift them to our level. We don't stay there. That is the role of a leader. Private lives begin when the public service ends. And I hear you. And I do think that you always have to be on. But I do think, though, that even when you are a public servant, you want to be normal, right? You want to be normal. And I think you should enjoy some norms. I think that you just have to be careful with it. It's not a good look for me, but I think his core audience, I think they're fine with it. LJ says, I don't see a problem with this dress. However, I do believe it humanizes him. Look at how Trump's actions are accepted. And so therein is my issue. I believe that we put more pressure on local elected officials because we know them, we can touch them, we can call them, we see them. Hell, look at Donald Trump. How many felonies? Convicted, was sentenced, should not have been able to run. But yet next week he becomes the next president again. And we're worried about how Lumumba dresses. It's a bad look. I think it's a horrible look on him. I do. I think he should be able to dress like that. Maybe not in Jackson, right? I think elected officials have to find a balance, and that's a struggle. That's a real struggle. I think they have to find a balance. I really do. I think they have to find a balance. Well, they'll go crazy. They would absolutely go crazy. Feel free to weigh in if you want to jump on camera with us. We'll put that stream up. Click on that link and we'll bring you in. Feel free to weigh in. So I think I saw Marcus's second part. Can we go back to Marcus Wallace's second part? Said the second part of my first message. My biggest ask from the city right now is prayers, and that prayer is for the Lord to send the best qualified person to lead the city. Marcus, one thing I know for sure, brother, you certainly have a heart for the city of Jackson. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I think the first part of your comment in terms of we don't need to allow this race to turn into a popularity contest. I think that's why we're here now, right? We don't need it to turn into a popularity contest. We really need to look at the issues that plague this city And we need to look at the issues that plague this city. We need to look at the issues that are near and dear to our hearts, ours individually, each one of us individually. And we need to figure out what candidate matches that. You're not going to find a perfect candidate anywhere, but find that candidate that best match your issues. That's how I'm approaching this thing. You know, that's how I am looking at this thing. Not from a personal standpoint. Well, I guess it could be personal. Personal in the sense that I want somebody who can match my energy and match my energy. Yes, she says they love Lil Drake. Let's go back to Mr. Brooks. So I agree with that. It's a lot, and it takes a lot to be an elected official. I love Councilman Stamps, and some dislike how big his suits are. It's tough, I tell you. Then some argue the difference between a business suit and a church suit. All mute points to me. Maybe you mean Councilman Stokes. Yeah, I think the real issue, though, Brooks, I think the real issue is not necessarily the size of the suit, right? I think the real issue is being a representative of the office that you serve, right? Being a representative of the office that you have been elected to. And I'm sorry, as an elected official, I just happen to think that you always have to be on when you're in your city. And really anywhere. You just always have to be on. That's what you sign up for, right? I'm sorry. That's what you sign up for, right? That's what you sign up for. And I know most want a sense of normalcy, right? And I think it's important and it's healthy to find that balance. But you got to understand what balance is, who decides what balance is, right? And you got to have some strong people in your ear that can help you find that balance and say, you know, maybe you can't do that over here. Maybe you shouldn't wear this to that. You got to figure it out. And it's a delicate space, but it's a real space. It's a real space. And it comes with the territory. It's par for the course. It comes with the territory. It's par for the course. And like you said, OJ, to you, it's mute. But to other folk, it's a big deal. And that's where the balance comes in, right? Like some folk had an issue with this yellow suit that he wore. It was a skinny yellow suit. He was on a yacht. I didn't have a problem with the yellow suit. I did have a problem with him in pictures with a big cigar hanging out of his mouth, drink in his hand, and all of that. I don't care about you smoking a cigar. I don't care about you having a drink. But you need to do that not in front of the camera. You got to be cognizant that cameras are always around. And when you deliberately pose for pictures like that, that's problematic. I didn't have a problem with the suit. I like the suit. I would rock the suit, right? But it's just the pictures. It's the cigar, right? You got to be careful. So glad Vernon Hartley decided to run for Ward 5. Tell me why, Tommy. Why are you so glad? Tell me why. Tell me why. Private life and behavior should be in private. So, Lisa, I think you're right. You know, the pushback that I give to that, I think you're absolutely right. Private life and behaviors should be private. I think you are 100% correct. I think you know, and I guess there's really no pushback. I think that you are 100% correct. However, that's not reality, right? And maybe it should be, but that's not reality. You're pulled on, you're tugged at. again, I just think that I think that elected officials have to create that space. They have to create that space. When you see this fool that's taking office next week and how he's gotten away seemingly with all of this stuff, but yet we hold our local officials to a higher standard. Something about that is wrong to me. Something about that is wrong to me. I agree with you 100%. Private life and action should be done in private. I agree with that. I can't argue that at all. And as much as I'm sitting here trying to find an argument to that, there isn't one. Except for I just believe that elected officials have to figure out a balance. Got to define the balance. You got to have somebody around you at all times to help you think. I am willing to bet you when he walked out to that event, and allegedly it was in a club, when he walked out to that event, he didn't consult with anybody about what he had on. And I would also submit that what he had on was probably perfect for the venue he went to. Does that make it right, though? I know the easy fallback. He's human. He is human. He is human. But he also signed up for this gig. Right? That's me. That is just me. That's me. All right, Tubby says, because he has the heart and drive to push Jackson forward. He acts the wise, and when he makes a decision, he sticks with it. Just to name a few. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I didn't think he would not run. Lisa says, if you are doing a fundraiser for the kids or teens with the hip hop artists and you dress down to try and relate, that's one thing. But even if you are in the club, you're still there. I agree, ma'am. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree. Dr. J says, Lil Drake got to run the city during the day and make club. Oh God, why am I reading that out loud? I gotta make club appearances at night. You so wrong for that. You're so wrong. You are so wrong for that. You're so wrong. You're wrong. But Lisa, I think that you're right. You're always an elected official. You're always on. I do think that though that there is a balance. You got to define that balance. What is balance? Define balance. Who sets the boundaries for balance? I just think it's so important to have a strong team of people around you at all times. And strong doesn't mean yes people all the time, right? That's not what strong means. You got to have strong people around you that will challenge you, but respect you, but that will challenge you, right? Gotta have it. Gotta have it, gotta have it, gotta have it. I think it's important. I think it is absolutely important that you have strong people around you at all times. Y'all, 2025 is it's a very important year, a very important election year. Very important election year. Very important election year. We've got to get it right. Sheila says, I'm curious, is he showing up at church in the yellow suit? I don't know if he wore it to church or not. I don't know. I don't know if he wore it to church, but he was at some kind of yacht event. I thought he was dressed fine. I thought the yellow suit was fine. I thought the yellow suit was perfect for the occasion. It's the pictures and how they showed up with the drink and a big cigar and all of that just didn't look like a mayor at all, but I thought he was perfectly dressed for the event itself. Can we put Lisa's comment back up? I missed that one. All right, you need people who will tell you no and keep you accountable to the oath of office. Absolutely. 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 I agree with that 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. You gotta have good people around you. LJ says, who has the brains and experience to move this urban city forward? I think there's several people out there. I think several names that are in the hat. They've got the brains for them, you know. They've got the brains. They've got the brains. They've got the brains, you know. I don't think Jackson needs an arrogant mayor. There are some candidates that have offered themselves for this job that are arrogant. I don't think this city has the temperament for an arrogant mayor. I don't think this city has the temperament for someone who will come in and we already know they're trying to take everything from us, right? We already know that they're trying to take everything from us. So I don't think we need to be worried about a mayor that would come in and just say, the door's open, carte blanche, have your way. Here's the city, take it. I don't I don't want to have that fear. I don't want to have that fear. I don't want to have that fear at all. At all. Yo, we've got to talk through this. Honestly, we've got to talk through it. We can't just hide behind our phones, our keyboards, man. We've got to really talk through this. This is important. This is absolutely important. It's absolutely important. All right, guys, listen, let me say this here. We're getting ready to wrap up. Let me say this. Our Saks to Suit event is coming up June 14th. June 14th. Scan that QR code right there. Come on, man. Step up. Help us get a suit for a young man. Come on, man. Had a great meeting today with the two assistant superintendents of Jackson Public Schools. They are committed to helping us reach some boys, to get some boys to participate. We're going to get 100 young men in new suits on the 14th. Come on, y'all, step up. Click that QR code. Buy a suit for a young man or two. Put it in your calendar. Put it on your calendar to be at the event. We can change the lives of these young men. We can do it. We sit back, we talk, we complain, we watch the news, we talk about how the narrative is unfair. Let's change that narrative. Step up. Step up. We're gonna get 100 young boys, 100 young men in suits. We're gonna make it happen. We're going to make it happen. But we can't do it without you. Click on that QR code. Buy a suit. Come on, man. Help us out. I'm telling you what a suit did for me. It gave me a new level of respect for a black man. It built confidence. It made me feel super proud. My mother finally said, "Well, you can't wear that suit every day." And it was a baggy suit. My mom coined this phrase, those baggies are going to kill you. Because it made me feel just that proud, just that confident, right? It really did. It made me feel good. It did. So support us. It's going to be a great event. I am hoping and casting a vision that it's going to be transformative, that it's going to be impactful, and that we go from this event to a lifetime of a connection between the adult male and the young male. See, I don't believe that mentoring is a cookie cutter approach, which is why I had to kind of reinvent or recarve out the way I approach mentoring. I just don't think it's a cookie cutter event. One size does not fit all when it comes to mentoring. One size does not fit all. And I think that if you're really wanting to meet the needs of your mentees, you got to get to know them. You got to get to know them. You got to build a relationship with them. You got to build a connection with them. And this singular event is the beginning of building that relationship. So we'll have a pairing session. We'll have a session just for the, a session for the adults, right? Oftentimes we pour into the mentees, but we don't pour into the mentors. Well, everybody's not a mentor. Everybody does not know how to do it. So we've got to be equipped. So we'll have a session for the mentors, words of encouragement, statistical. That was a tongue twister. Statistical data about the needs in Jackson and the surrounding areas. Right? There are folk who say Black men are not showing up. I got data to prove differently that Black men are showing up. The stories are just not being told. Right? Right? Absolutely. We are the Superman and men that we've been looking for. Superman is not coming to save us. We're the Superman. We are. And I believe if we snatch one boy up and wrap our arms around him, we could change the trajectory of our communities. We can change it. We can change it. We can change it. Let's put that flyer back up. Scan that QR code, man. Let's get this done. Let's get it done. Let's go from sagging to suits. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. And then I want to put Marcus's comment up and we're going to get out of here. Let's see. I saw some numbers in his comment. What was that? It's time for citizens to talk this mayoral election conversation up like never before. Citizens, it's all on you. We got to have more than 18 to 20,000 of the 95,000 registered voters voting. Y'all got to go vote. Newsflash, though. Newsflash. Newsflash, Marcus. Newsflash, brother. The last general election for mayor. Last general election for mayor. This mayor won with less than 12,000. And I know what you're talking about overall. I get it. But he won with less than 12. And you know that old saying, if you don't vote, you can't complain? That has never resonated more with me than now. Because when we look at the conditions that the city is in and how few people voted, come on, man. Come on, man. We got to do better. We've got to do better. This is the beginning of our conversations about the 2025 municipal elections. We're going full steam ahead from here on. All right. Thank y'all for being with us tonight. We certainly do appreciate it. Certainly do appreciate you chiming in. Our endeavor is to offer hot topics every day, a small portion of the show dedicated to hot topics and things that you want to see covered. So thank you for being here. We appreciate you. You can always advertise with us. Reach out to us, inbox me, so we can send you some advertising packages. We need your support. We got some great deals. We need your support. All right. Supporting us, you're supporting Black media. You're supporting independent media. You're supporting our stories being told by us, right? Our stories being told by us, right? Great. We're going to make that happen. There are a couple I've heard about. We're going to make it happen, Greg. We got to do it again, man. We got to recreate that event. We got to do it again, brother. We've got to do it again. Thank you, Lisa, for being on with us. Thank you, everybody, for checking in tonight. We certainly do appreciate it. From all of us here at the Othor Cain Show, have a good night.